2024 was supposed to be my best year. It's the year I graduate college. It's the year that all of my hard work through elementary school, middle school, high school are actually put into fruition, and I end up getting a highly paid job at a valuable company. And yet, when I crossed the stage, I had nothing. I had no job. I had to go back home and basically keep my head down when it came to talking to my friends and family when they would ask me if I had a job. So if you're going through unemployment, I completely understand where you're coming from. I know what it's like, and I spent 2 months being unemployed myself. And I'm gonna be honest with you, if it wasn't for me being unemployed, I don't think I would have learned all the lessons I needed to learn that would help me get to where I am today. So today I want to share those lessons with you. I want to share the exact way I got employed after college. And I promise you, if you use these three strategies, there's just no way you won't get a job, especially if you keep going and you stay persistent. But before I get into the three ways that I ended up securing a job, we have to talk about why you're most likely in this position to begin with. So, depending on the college that you went to, there's typically one or multiple pipelines to corporate. And those pipelines are typically built from programs outside of the university. There are times where higher value universities do have pipelines, but most of the time, most of the ways into corporate are through external programs. Some examples of programs like this are Venture for America, Teach for America, or SEO Career. And what you have to understand about the importance of these programs to colleges is that the college's best interest is always going to be student retention. It's not always going to be sending you to the best company after you graduate. And I know that's very backwards to hear, but it's very difficult for a school that is smaller sized to basically spread their resources so thin to try and help those students get the best jobs and at the same time manage their already internal systems and their teaching and all of that sort of thing. So what you have to understand is that you have to seek out those external programs that's attached to your school. And the reason I bring those three organizations up is because typically what happens to most people that end up graduating unemployed, and we'll get to the people that get laid off and are struggling to get a job now, but typically in those situations, what ends up happening is you're not connected to an organization that helps you get employment. So you're not part of an external program that can help you get hired at another company. And then there's the other side where you're a more experienced professional, where you got laid off or something else happened and you had to take a leave and now you're trying to go back into corporate and you're struggling. And it's same scenario. You don't have an external party that is helping you find a job. You don't have relationships at these other companies. You've probably been keeping your head down at work. You've probably just been working your job and going home and spending time with your friends and family. But the problem with that is that you haven't built enough connections outside of your company for this specific scenario. And most people don't think about it like that. So that's why you're struggling, even though you have 5 to 6 years of experience and you can't find a job. It's because you don't have the relationships right now that will help you get employed. And one other bonus point for the reason most people are unemployed as well. Sometimes people that are unemployed have a very difficult time speaking up and advocating for their accomplishments, for who they are and what they represent. And that's something that I promise you is super critical to the employer seeing value in hiring you. There is no point in trying to be modest with certain accomplishments you've made in your life. You have to tell people what you've done, why you're good at it, and why you can help them do the same thing. And this leads directly into my first thing that you have to do in order to secure a job in this market. And that is going to be raising your confidence level and knowing how to speak to your brand. You don't just say, I'm really good at using AI and Excel and PowerPoint. No, you give examples. You give reasons why they need to buy that story. Anyone can say, I'm good at this, that, and the other. But there's no point in doing that if you don't have actual stories attached. So if I was being interviewed and asked about how I use AI, Here's what I'd say. I'd say something like, yeah, man, I love using AI. I think that it's a really powerful tool, although you have to really be careful with the information that comes with it. I'll give you an example of how I've been using AI. I work on a project at my job, at my last job, and I had to compile a huge, massive amount of data and basically clean all of that data and have outputs based on revenue and EBITDA and a lot of other financial metrics. And so I used AI to kind of help me build a template that could help me clean the data as efficiently as possible because it was a massive amount of data. It was about 5,000 rows of data. So I used AI to help me create formulas that could efficiently clean that long list of companies so that I could be able to spit out the outputs that I needed to. But I didn't just rely on AI. I have a lot of inherent knowledge on Excel. So I was able to fact check AI based on how they were coming out with formulas. I would challenge it. Is there not a better or more efficient way to do this? I know that this formula exists already. Why didn't you use that? I don't typically just use AI. It's more of a thought partner rather than just a tool that I use to automate things quickly. I use it more to understand the processes as well as utilize it to speed up what my workflows would be. So an answer like that, it might have been a little lengthy because I was brainstorming it on the spot. But that is essentially how you should answer questions is with stories attached, with examples, keeping things as thoughtful as you can. And I did forget to mention that you should also attach the results. What happened after you created the project? Well, it turned out really well. My managers were very happy. They used it in a presentation to pitch to the CEO. It was a huge project. That's the point is you really have to make sure every time you talk about yourself, you tell stories. You tell them what you did, why you did it, and what happened after you did it. You have to explain everything when you are in an interview. And I promise you, that will help you rise your confidence level and also the way you speak to people. You won't be as modest. You will have facts. It's not like you're going in there lying. So it's really critical that you learn how to communicate your value better. So the second reason why I was able to secure a job after college in just 2 months after being unemployed was because I was organized. I didn't just apply to 100 jobs in 100 industries. It would be a waste of time to do that. There would be literally no point. So imagine this, right? Imagine you're looking for a house and you work, let's say, in the city, but you're looking for houses that's 100 miles away. What are you looking at those houses for? You're not going to want to work there or you're not going to want to live there for a long time. You're going to end up moving. You're going to end up spending a bunch of money. You're going to end up spending a bunch of time trying to figure out the logistics. There's no point. It wastes time. You have to find the jobs that you're most qualified for. And if you're not getting the responses you want, if you're not getting the actual results you're looking for, then you need to change your strategy, but you can still approach the same company. But you cannot sit here and apply to a marketing position when you've been in finance for 10 years. You just can't do that unless you have an in. You can't just apply online to easy apply jobs. If it's easy, it's not going to happen for you. It's not. Anything that's easy is never going to work long term. So you cannot just apply online. I promise you, it's not the way to go. So you need to really spend time understanding what are your top 10 to 15 to 20 companies and then target the heck out of those companies. Make sure those 20 companies know who you are. And we're going to get into the third strategy because this is leaking into it. But you have to stay organized. You have to track who you've applied to, when you applied, what the response was. Because if you don't, there's just too many things that could go wrong if you're not organized in the job process. And the third, I kind of leaked it a bit, is that you have to network your way into companies now in 2026. It is the most important thing you can do. Is if you have enough people that know who you are, you will not struggle to get a job. It doesn't matter what job market it is. I promise you. I bet you money in 2008 when people were losing their jobs, there were certain people that kept their jobs and there were certain people that got hired. I promise you. Maybe they didn't get hired in the middle of the crisis, but they got hired 6 to 8 months after the financial markets completely dropped. And that's what I'm saying. It's only because they had a massive network that valued who they were, right? So if they don't know who you are and they don't know what your value is, why the hell would they want to hire you? And I mean, I'm just being honest, right? Would you personally want to hire someone you didn't know and you didn't know what they could contribute? You've never seen their work. It would be hard for you to hire someone. See, most people don't understand what it's like from an employer perspective. Like, even for me as a business owner, I can promise you there are certain people I'd rather hire that I already know versus going and trying to find someone outside of that circle and trying to figure out, are they a scammer? Are they trustworthy? Do they align with our values? Right? So there's so many different hurdles when you are in the hiring process. And one of those hurdles is just trust. Can I trust this guy to show up? Can I trust this guy to just get the job done? Like, it's a huge thing, right? Like, the reason I got hired is because I had a direct referral from someone else that was known in the industry and advocated for me hard and ended up helping me get employed. The reason I ended up even getting a job is because someone in the industry had a strong brand and he advocated for me. And I ended up getting an interview from that. And I killed the interview and ended up securing the job I have today. So if you literally do nothing else, and I don't care if you're employed right now as well, it doesn't matter. If you just do nothing else, but just meet as many people as you can that are in high positions that would be willing to help you, you will eventually get a job. I promise you, you will. And the reason I know this is because I've helped so many clients do this. There's this one client that I specifically talked to, and we only had a couple conversations. And she reached out to one of her friends who worked at State Farm and literally got an first round interview from that conversation and secured a job. And she was unemployed for 9 months. And after our conversation, she was literally able to secure that employment. And I have countless other stories that illustrate this point. In fact, I want you to do this. This is your homework. Go to your family, go to your friends who have jobs, and ask them, how did they get the job? I can guarantee you, most, if not all of them, will say because a friend worked there, family member worked there, old boss works there, something, some reason why. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure that you leave a like, make sure you subscribe, and if you're looking for additional support, make sure you reach out to me. I do one-on-one consultations and I can help you secure a job for 2026. So I hope you enjoyed this video and make sure you stay in scope.